Now, the end is at hand. Now it is our task to find one another again, to spread information from person to person, to keep a steady purpose, and to allow ourselves no rest until the last man is persuaded of the urgent need of his struggle against this system. When thus a wave of unrest goes to the land, when it is in the air, when many join the cause, then, in a great final effort, this system can be shaken off. After all, an end in terror is preferable to terror without end.
It was the fall of 1942 when Hans Scholl returned from the war. He had been serving as a medic on the Eastern Front, along with a couple of friends who would later become members of the White Rose. However, it was not long before Sophie joined them in their resistance against the Nazis.
Isn't it true that every honest German is ashamed of his government these days? Who among us has any conception of the dimensions of shame that will befall us and our children when one day the veil that has fallen from our eyes and the most horrible of crimes that infinitely outdistance every human measure, reach the light of day? Please, make as many copies of this leaflet as you can and distribute them.
The leaflets written by the White Rose were widely distributed and were often handed out by Hans, Sophie, and Christoph themselves.
Since the conquest of Poland, 300,000 Jews have been murdered in this country in the most bestial way. The German people slumber on in their dull, stupid sleep and encourage these fascist criminals. Each man wants to be exonerated of a guilt of this kind. Each one continues on in the way, the most placid, the calmest conscience. But he cannot be exonerated. He is guilty, guilty, guilty. Please, make as many copies as possible of this leaflet and distribute them.
But it was not until the delivery of their fifth leaflet that the group was caught and arrested.
How can we expect righteousness to prevail when there is hardly anyone willing to give himself up individually to a righteous cause? Such a fine, sunny day, and I have to go. But what does my death matter if through us thousands of people are awakened and stirred to action? Please, make as many copies of this leaflet as you can and distribute them.
The White Rose, Sophie, Hans, and Christoph. These brave members sacrificed the most precious thing for what they believed in, their lives. They chose to stand up against injustice, inequality, and indefinite pain. They did it for their people, they said, for the others' best interests, no matter the pain it brought to them. Over the course of 2 years, they distributed countless papers in Germany. Who knows the change it brought? They never lived to see the power of their words. They never lived to see the change that happened to the Germans. They never lived to see the sunrise come on the dark night they lived in. They never saw it because they gave their lives for a future liberty.
February 22nd, 1943. Hans, Sophie, and Christoph went to trial. There they would listen to condemning slander of the German officers, but they chose to stand firm. This long and tedious time lasted less than a day. Less than a day to decide to take the lives of 3 innocent people, who chose to stand up for what they knew to be right. For what they knew was a social unjust. For what they knew needed to be changed.
Sophie, Hans' younger sister, one of the core people involved in the White Rose, was born May 9th, 1921. She lived to be 21 years old. During those 21 years, she had decided to spread her beliefs against the Nazis, against the pain they were inflicting.
Hans, Sophie's older brother, the founder of the White Rose, was born on September 22nd, 1918. He only lived to be 24 years old. During those 24 years, though, he had made a mark on the world.
Christoph, friend to Hans, co-conspirator of spreading the beliefs of the White Rose, was born November 6, 1919. He lived only 23 years. During 23 years, he had gone through different experiences. These events made him realize that the German government was corrupt and leading its people in the wrong direction. So he chose to join Hans and Sophie and to do something about it.